here with another Super Dave review. Super Dave here with another exciting Masters of the Universe Revelation or Masterverse review, as we're going to take a look at the highly anticipated King Grayskull as he appeared in the Revelation series. And man, is he not awesome looking. Excited about checking this guy out. There's some of that awesome book-end artwork there that you can check out. And then look at this. Oh, wow. I mean, this is really capturing the essence of what we saw in the Revelation, very briefly, series in Preternia, when they showed our King Grayskull figure when he was, splitting apart. And he was also in the comic book, the Revelation comic book, in this way too. But just really good. If you want to pause and read that short bio that they have, the write-up here, you certainly can do that now. But man, this guy is awesome. Let's go ahead and break open his packaging and check him out. And here is our King Grayskull. So cool looking. Check him out. What an awesome looking action figure. Bravo, Mattel. Nailed this one. And let's first take a look at King Grayskull's accessories. First thing we notice is King Grayskull comes with an open palm hand and a clenched fist hand, as well as his equipped weapon holding hands, both left and right. And then of course the separated swords, the evil side and the light side, or the good side. And so you see that. Then of course King Grayskull also comes with this first head sculpt, which is kind of an angry look, clenched teeth look, really nice looking face sculpt there. And love this soft goods cape with the fluffy collars, very regal. And of course that fabric, almost felt like fabric cape that is wired, that he's equipped with. And then he comes with a second head sculpt, which is this stoic or calm looking face, and he looks good too. That's the one I think I like the best out of the two. The other one is a kind of more of an action look, I would guess, though. So both of these will serve well. And then last but not least, his shield. And what a nice looking shield with that King Grayskull style 2000X Mike Young type logo in the middle there, as well as on his chest armor, as you saw earlier. But just look at this figure. He is just super nice, really nice looking action figure. So now let's look at his articulation. One thing I will show you before we do articulation is it's kind of neat how if you put these two swords together, you kind of get the glimpse of the actual He-Man sword kind of taking shape there, which is really neat attention to detail, that it actually kind of works out there with the little curves on the butt there of the hilt of the sword. Really nice, really cool. But moving on to articulation here, let's go ahead and bring our King Grayskull as he stands right here in front of Castle Grayskull. Of course, Castle Grayskull would have been more on the white side if we look at the Mike Young's production, as a go-to for that. But anyway, as it got older, it became more of a green castle, as we are familiar with. But King Grayskull is not really able to look up much. These hair braids kind of come off of his chest when you try, but kind of a straightforward look there. He is able to look down a little bit there. He's able to look down. That's good. And of course side to side. And it is hindered by these big poofy collars. Not much on the tilt. Nothing that would really stay anyway. He's of course got 360 with the arms, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, swivel and hinge at the wrist, which is our typical Revelation or Masterverse style. And then with his diaphragm, he is able to get a full range of motion, which is nice. He's going to be able to crunch forward, bend back, go side to side some, and also turn some at that point too, as well as turn at his waist. He's of course able to get full splits, thigh rotation, double jointed knees, boot cut. He has tiptoes, up, down, and excellent rockers with your foot peg hole in the bottom of his boot. So excellent articulation. And then as we mentioned, this cape is articulated with wiring. So you're going to be able to, kind of like with, if you got the Mattel Creations Scare Glow, or the PowerCon exclusive, or whatever that was called, he came with this kind of cape as well. So you can, of course, as you see there, shape that and mold that, or kind of put that cape where you would like. So it's really going to be, you know, neat, so that you can get a lot of course it kind of folds back a little bit, but you can get that cape however you would like to do it. Even kind of a fold in front of him if you wanted to. I mean, there's just, you know, several possibilities. Or you can even fold it up behind him and kind of show more of the felt part. Interesting to note also that these things here are on like a Velcro strap. They're strapped on his harness with Velcro, so it slides back and forth. You can see you can push it back more, or you can even slide it a lot more forward here, as so. His hair kind of gets in the way on one side. And then you have to kind of fluff up these to give them some you know, give them more of a texture. But you're gonna have to navigate his head and his hair around that kind of feature though. And of course, as you see on the back here, he has the straps where you can remove that, and his hair kind of comes over top here of that. Let's go ahead and remove his head and look at his other head sculpt here. So that is going to be the same way, but you could actually put that hair behind the fluff or collar there. Let's see how that does. Going to bring that forward a little bit so that it kind of looks like it's coming around a little better. If I can get that just right. There we go. Fold that in, and there's an example of him using the other head sculpt, tucking that cape back a little bit, a different pose there with his hand on his hip there. So looking pretty good, looking pretty dope there. I like King Grayskull. He's nice looking there. Awesome. Now let's do some comparison time. And here is both King Grayskulls, and as you can tell, the Revelation series turned our King Grayskull a black man, and that is cool. They wanted to add some diversity to the history of the storyline, and to make King Grayskull, I mean, like the legacy character that the castle gets its name from, and the ancestor, of course, late ancestor He-Man. I mean, I think it was pretty cool. I certainly like the original King Grayskull, and I've been using him in my storylines, but just the very idea of this King Grayskull and the way he appeared, and of course the soft goods cape and everything, I just think it's really cool and really neat. As you can tell there, our original King Grayskull is touching that sword of power, passing his essence on to the sphere of power stone that is stored in Castle Grayskull, basically storing the essence of the virtue and power of King Grayskull, which is what eventually gives He-Man his power when he holds the sword aloft and says, "By the power of Grayskull." That's just, you know, a mix of the incarnations of the backstory of this figure. But very cool. Awesome. And there is King Grayskull next to one of his best friends on his council, Sir Laserlot, as well as Faunus, who is actually one of our Mythic Legions characters, but he's one of in my Masterverse, he is part of the council of King Grayskull during his reign. But cool looking. They look good together, I think. They match up good together, even with classics. And here's our new revelation King Grayskull with Vina, our classics Vina, which in the storyline of the Mike Young production, as well as pretty much the canon, Vina was King Grayskull's wife, and she was an angelic type being, as you can tell by the wings, but she was also the first sorceress of Castle and guardian of Castle Grayskull, and was there when King Grayskull breathed his last breath on the battlefield against Hordak. And if you'll indulge me, I will add this SH Figure Arts Jiren, which in my Masterverse, he is King Altron. And you can see my video on him as far as how I put him in the Masterverse here. But he is looking great next to King Grayskull, King Altron, and King Grayskull side by side. And there is King Grayskull with his wife, Vina. And now for another comparison, because I love to team up my Masters Universe figures with the Axe Battler from Golden Axe series from Storm Collectibles. This figure is one of my favorites with his cool red dragon. And I'm using one of the swords and flaming accessories there from one of my McFarlane DC figures, the one I turned into Scrollos. But there is King Grayskull looking mighty powerful and regal with his shield, standing next to the red dragon and the Axe Battler. Even though, of course, the Axe Battler is a little bigger and bulkier with the bigger head, I still think they go good together. I like it. Speaking of the Axe Battler, I'll be reviewing Tyrus Flare, the counterpart or the partner of the Axe Battler here. She is looking stellar. Can't wait to open her and do a review of her, hopefully next. Might have to do her before I get to the rest of the Thundercats. But I just had to do this King Grayskull. He is looking awesome. Now, if I were you, I'd want to see King Grayskull riding a horse. So, I'm going to put him on a horse. And you see his sword, or I put a He-Man sword and put the shield through the little strap or loop that is made in these Mythic Legion horses for weapons, and that looks good. And he just mounts that thing perfectly. Everything works. He gets in that saddle good. You can pose him good. His cape is able to just shape around there, and man, isn't it look natural and good? So very regal looking for our King Grayskull Revelation style. I like it with Link there. And this is one of those Fortnite figures, and I like him kind of inspired by the new Masters Universe animated, children's kind of edition on Netflix. I like this kind of looks like those, not really, but in a little bit, the Royal Guard. And that's kind of what I've got him in here, to kind of like, King Grayskull's Royal Guard there. But you see him next to him here in comparisons. But just really cool. All these guys, part of my Masterverse, in this really neat diorama set with King Grayskull and Castle Grayskull and all the allies. And there is our Hebrew in the back there, and Arnold coming through the woods back there. Just really, really neat. And I like this. I like this a lot. I think that is just, I think it matches. I think it works. I just think it works. Riding his steed. And here finally is King Grayskull with a few other of his council members out of the classics Mike Young 2000X version. Those classic figures, I can't remember their names, but they are cool action figures. And I want to just say thank you for joining us for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this review. Please like, comment if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't, and come back and see us again. Here's some photos of King Grayskull.